All right, everybody, welcome back to another episode of the YoungPro podcast. I'm here with my co-host, Dustin Kupka.
The weather is partly cloudy and 30 degrees.
And we are actually joined today by his brother, Shane Kupka. He's 45 years old. He has his bachelor's in video production. He is single with 2 dogs, lives in Dallas, Texas, and he worked for Fossil for a few years until he started his own business, Mowax Visual. He's got clients like the Dallas Cowboys, Valentino, Kendra Scott, and some other well-known brands. So I am super excited to get into his story today. Thank you so much for coming, man.
Thanks for having me.
So let's get a little background story. He's the older brother, right? You're the youngest?
Well, I'm the youngest.
Yeah.
And then we got a brother Shane here, and then we have the oldest.
Jason. And that's actually how I met Dustin, was through Jason. He was my mortgage broker when I first started.
Oh man, you got double whammy.
Yeah. There's a 6 or 7 year age gap between you two.
No.
Yeah, it looks like it though, right?
Yeah. I look younger than you.
Well, one of you is balding, so
Hey, that's true. And it's not him, right? Hey, it's the lighting in the room. You gotta get Tyler to fix that.
we'll blame it on our producer.
Yeah, I'm always blaming on the producer. Like, hey, I'm a little self-conscious, but you know what? I still look good.
You do look good. You do look good.
I got all that, good shampoo,
Yeah, let's start to kind of dial back a little bit. And how did you get into the video production? Because that's what I did. Well, actually, pause. Let's take these shots of Fireball.
Sure.
And really start the episode the right way.
Where's your
All right, I'm not joining. I'm sober right now. I know that's a news flash for a lot of people watching, but
that's gonna
75 days hard. So I'll join this.
What it looks like antifreeze, dude.
Cheers,
brother.
Is that a full shot?
Mm-hmm.
Was that half? It's 2 shots.
Horrible.
It's really terrible.
Yeah.
Actually.
That was terrible. That was water.
Yeah, fire. That was good. I feel regenerated.
Sip on it.
My gosh.
I'm not a degenerate anymore, taking shots on a
gasoline.
podcast.
That's the first. The brother. That was the first time we've ever drank on this.
Really?
Yeah.
You should do that. It's a good thing.
at my
Cool things
30th
off.
birthday party. He actually took a shot with my dad and came over and told me. And I've never done a shot with my dad, and I was
Really?
like, "What is going on?"
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. It's funny. That was a good party.
Did you guys drink together in college or?
High school? We never.
We didn't drink in high school at all, but college, I think when mom snuck off to work, we would probably pop a bottle or 2.
A little bit.
Yeah, maybe after in college.
Was that vodka that she was telling me about?
Yeah, it was like, what was that purple passion? Like vodka and mixed with some kind of purple drink. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, we got
Tastes
to
like
let
lemonade.
everyone know that if you hear this, noise in the background, it probably is our mother.
She is joining us today. We got quite the crew with us.
So we do. So
yeah.
of course, brother Shane's. He mentioned from Dallas, Texas, and so it's what is January 5th, 6th, whatever.
January
So
5th, yeah, because
brother Shane is here. We've kind of had Christmas, and he kind of came up and.
Oh, you've been here the whole time since Christmas? Who are you staying with?
Mama D.
Oh, nice. Yep. Okay, cool.
Yes,
so then we're just kind of hanging out, and so we kind of talked about the podcast. I'm like, dude,
let's do it.
He's like, yeah, man, this would be great. So
yeah, for sure.
All right. Well, now that we got the juices flowing, let's dial into kind of what got you interested in video production, and then we'll go from there.
Yeah, video production. I think in high school we used to do videos at home, like prank videos, all kinds of things around the house.
Okay.
We had a camcorder. Our parents were like one of the first families on the block to have that huge camcorder.
Oh, really?
Yeah. First VCR. We were pretty cool. So yeah, we were pulling pranks on our grandparents with that thing, and just got into bringing things to life that way. And,
All right.
Started with pranks.
Started with pranks
on camera.
Okay. And did you like being the guy behind the camera?
Both.
Did you like
both? Yeah.
Editing it, being in front of the camera as well?
Yeah, I did. I mean, I went to college for video production, and I was going to do some broadcasting, but then I got in front of the camera during these school broadcasts.
Yep.
I froze up. I looked like a turd.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was I realized I did not belong in front of the camera, unless it was like a joke or a humorous type situation.
Yeah.
Then I'm like, I need to be in the back.
Okay.
Put me back there.
That was the same with me. I wanted to be behind the camera.
Yeah.
It wasn't until recently that I was like,
well, you know, and what's crazy now with all this content, like creation, like I mean, it's like the new thing. Like you got to be in front of the camera.
you have
know?
to, yeah.
You know, with what we do, and it's like, and I think there's a lot of people out there that dread that.
You've gotten a lot better though. Like when I'd first like put him in a TikTok, I got a couple of them, and he just freezes. You just see his deer in headlights. Look.
Oh yeah.
Usually you're pretty good at.
Either like he just, you know, he's flows with it, and I'm like, all right, we got to take cut. You know, let's redo this. The funny thing is when you watch a video and you see yourself in it, you're like, or you watch other people. Oh yeah, that's cool. You know, they're good. But then when you watch yourself, you're like, God,
Yeah, no.
do I sound like
hear
that?
what you sound like?
Like that's terrible.
Yeah.
You know, and you start
Totally.
feeling this self like, God, you know. And the funny thing is like, no, dude, you actually look like that, and you sound like that
all the time.
all the time.
Yeah.
You know. So once you come to
That's all the reason to get behind the camera.
Get behind it. What was your first like production that you put out that you were proud to like have your name behind?
Well, that was probably in college. We did a prison ministry had hired us to do a video promoting their prison ministry. And so
Who were they promoting it to?
well, there was a church within the prison that raised money to do special projects in the prison. And so they always had Sunday worship and that kind of thing. So our class was invited to come interview and, you know, produce this video. And so, you know, we had to go and wear baggy clothes. The girls had to look like pretty much like dudes.
Yeah.
And we went in and we, you know, had to interview these people, and it was one of the most amazing experiences to hear their story.
Yeah.
And it was a group of 10, 15 kids, and it was a group project. And when it came down to editing, only one other gal showed up, and she and I have been producing the video, and it got awards and all kinds
Really?
Yeah, it was pretty cool. It ended up being like a huge thing. And my professor actually let me grade everyone in the class. After he's like, you did it. So
Okay,
yeah.
all right. So what was like the shots, or what was the storytell, or what?
It was just we interviewed the different inmates. We interviewed the pastor, some of the people that worked there, and I don't know. It was just kind of we built the story about how they got in there, and then what the church did for them, and then you know what they're trying to do in the community and where they want to go, and it was really inspiring.
Yeah, that's awesome.
cool.
That's so cool.
It was a really cool video to be a part of for sure.
And then what was the transfer? Your mom kind of gave me some background on Fossil that you wanted to go and be like the graphic or marketing
Well, you were.
guy.
This is Waldorf, right?
Yeah,
This
Waldorf.
is back in.
I know Waldorf.
Forest City, right?
I
You know
Waldorf. They're a good wrestling college. Yeah, when I went and was wrestled in college, like what we talked about, it was at
Small
Ellsworth and then William
yeah.
Penn. So William Penn, we would encounter Waldorf every now and again.
Okay, yeah.
So when Brother Shane went, it was like a 2-year, right? Or was it 4-year?
It was a 3-year program that I
3-year
went
program?
into for the
Because Brother
communication.
Jason went to Waldorf,
Oh, really?
which is kind of
Yeah,
cool. So,
kind of followed in his footsteps.
so he kind of went to Waldorf.
What's
Shane-
the age gap between you and Jason?
4.
Oh, so you
years?
weren't there at the same time?
No.
Okay.
No. Dustin and I are. His nickname is Dud, by the way.
Dud?
Yeah, it's
Oh,
childhood
gosh.
name. Childhood name.
Don't think too much into it.
But we're like a year and a half apart, maybe, or something like that. But yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, no,
So,
I went from.
And that Waldorf was, that's a predominantly known.
It was a
video-
fast.
I mean,
yeah, you get.
They were awesome.
Yeah, I mean, they put the camera in your hand day one. You know, you didn't have to wait. They put you in. I was running the radio station. I was the director of the radio station. I was in charge of the broadcasting department. You get it all handed to you, like run with it, do what you want. And so it's an accelerated program. You can graduate in 3 years versus like
4.
4.
Yeah.
I graduated in 4.
We won't talk about that. It's a 3-year program, but I'm
It's fine.
successful.
It's fine. I like the slow approach.
Okay. So, and how did you go then? You graduated from Waldorf. You had an internship at CNN.
Correct.
And
in
that was
Atlanta.
how long?
That was 3-4 months for that.
Okay.
And it was interesting because the internship happened after college, but it's because of the length of the time. And I was also slow to get organized, but I went down there and I was like I was the only VJ or intern, and usually they have like 20 interns, but because of the timing of it, they just didn't have anybody. So I was like literally the guy, which was great because I had the most editing experience. And I was on the Avid, and they're like, you know how to edit?
Yeah.
And so, you know, they allowed me to like produce, you know, video to go online. I worked for a show called Talk Back Live. It was an in-studio show. We did a little bit with Larry King. This is before your time.
Yeah, I know who Larry King is. Though, yeah.
Larry King. This is all during the Gore and Bush president election.
Okay.
And so we were there.
Yeah.
Nonstop. It wasn't paid.
Okay.
That's not cheap to pay for parking every day.
Well, that was what was so cool too. Is and Mom and I, we remember this road trip to Georgia because Atlanta, Georgia, and I was obviously still in high school. And Brother Shane just like, okay, I'm going to college and now I'm going to CNN. So we road trip, listening to Frank Sinatra
the whole time.
The whole entire time. I still remember that. So we get there, listen to Frank Sinatra like for 12 hours. And then literally Shane basically connected with this lady, and said, hey, I'm doing this. Can I stay at your house?
It was my friend's. It was actually your friend. It was a friend of yours' friend. It was her aunt. And so
it was just the wildest connection. It was the weirdest
connection, yeah.
Okay.
And
so we basically just like, we'd go to CNN. Because I even remember this, like we went, CNN, like have you ever been to Atlanta, Georgia and seen, plus they have like 9, lanes, and it's just, from Midwest.
That's a lot.
It's a little intense, right?
9 lanes on one side or 4 on one and 5 on the other?
We're talking...
Is 8 lanes.
8 lanes.
So 16 total.
So 4 and 4.
It was a lot. It might have been more than...
Four or 5 lanes.
It was something.
But
on each side.
It was horrible.
Jeez.
It was a lot of
coming from
stuff.
the Midwest, yeah.
And so and this is 20 some years ago. And so like from a little, from this in the Midwest, Iowa, grew up in 300 people, going to CNN in Atlanta was a big deal.
Yeah.
Right?
It
was terrifying.
So I was proud. It was kind of a cool thing because I was there going, there's no way in hell I'd be doing this.
Yeah.
And Shane was like, we'll do this.
Yeah.
Like, hats off to you, man. I'm getting in the car and driving back to Iowa.
It was a great experience. I don't trade it for the world. They don't usually put interns into the positions that I was doing, and it was a great experience. But I learned that these people do nothing but live the news. And I'm like, is this really how life is? Because it's like around the clock, these producers were living, had 4 roommates. You worked for the name, not the money.
Yeah.
Okay. So I was like, is this really? And they offered me to stay on. They really wanted me to stay on, but I was like, this isn't what
you want to do. Yeah.
No, I just didn't feel connected to it.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then you went back to Iowa.
Went back to Iowa. I worked with Brother Dustin at Rubes. Became their marketing guy.
Okay.
We transformed that business like no other. I can say that with pride.
That's awesome.
We flipped that baby up and made it profitable. Did a lot of things the way we wanted to do it.
Yeah.
And it worked great, didn't it?
And what kind of marketing was that you were doing? Was that Google or Facebook or TV ads?
Strap up your boots. It's basically the kind of marketing that I'm talking about is what is lost today. And that's basically getting in front of the customer and talking to them.
Okay.
And then forming relationships, and then creating an environment that's comfortable and exciting, and building a culture that's, of employees that want to be there, and it just shows in the service.
Yeah.
And people
loved it.
They couldn't believe it. We booked the house. We did things and we had fun.
Yeah.
That's the number one thing. We had a lot of fun with our people, and it translated into the customers. We had a lot of, repeat customers, and I don't think we could have done any differently.
This is back when, early 20, we're 19. I was 19, 20.
We're young.
Working at Ruby's?
Rubes.
Rubes.
Yeah, it's like
and management
It's
level.
like a grill your own steakhouse here in the Midwest. It's awesome. There's only 2 locations. It's a family-owned restaurant, but you actually cook your own steak.
And it's in Des Moines.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, you never been to Rubes?
No.
Oh, dude, you have to go there.
Have you been back since?
Yeah.
You should. Oh, you should.
Every time we flip a house, we go there.
Really?
Yeah.
Like
for
you
the
and
steaks.
Kurt?
Yeah. Or
Yeah.
mom's gone with us a couple times.
Oh,
Like
It's a kind of a grunge place. I mean, it's like you know, big grills in the middle of the room. You cook your own food.
Oh, you cook your own food.
cook your own food.
No,
yeah.
that
And
wouldn't-
this is like Iowa.
It's not made for me then, bro. It's not made-
Oh,
People are
you
like,
like it.
dude, you gotta
You
actually,
like it.
cook your own food. I'm like,
You can go rah, 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 and throw your
but it says Rube Steakhouse, grill your own. And then people walk off the street and go, can you grill our steak? Read the label. You know, it's a grill your own. You know,
So how much?
I don't
so
go to
you bring
McDonald's
your
and ask for a
own-
pizza. You know what I
You
mean?
bring your own?
Yes. No.
No,
There's
you can't.
There's
do
a
that.
cooler.
Okay, I was like,
No,
there's some
that would be
questionable
weird.
things
Yeah,
cooked
dude.
on that
The
grill.
only thing you bring in is wine.
Okay, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, everything else you got, you know, you can't bring in
And-
your own chicken, you know, they cook on the grill.
Yeah, yeah,
or your
yeah.
own steak, you know.
Yeah.
It was
But-
a fun time.
It was a great, great
Yeah.
experience.
So
We did
How
that for
long were you at? Because you stayed for a while. So
Yeah, I
how
stayed-
long
yeah.
were you there before you went to Fossil?
4 or 5 years, maybe.
And what was
4 or
that
5
pay
years.
like?
Nothing.
Nothing, but great experience.
Yeah, hands down, great experience. I mean, for us to be at the age we were and to be doing what we did with that place and it was exciting, a lot of life lessons. I mean,
Yeah.
you know, we were on top of the world having a blast.
Yeah.
You know,
This is, you know, create an environment where, you know, you're in your early 20s.
everyone is pretty much.
Everybody's
except
in
for
your early 20s. You know, I think I was 19 years old managing the bar.
Yeah.
We just, it was a culture that young people were in, loved it. We had fun with it.
Oh yeah.
The clients and the customers seen that, but we were respectful and, you know, we weren't doing crazy stuff.
No.
But,
They love, I mean, it was,
and it just, yeah, then you just developed this and it just
we had
kept
a lot of
growing.
moms work there, so the moms came to have. I mean, it was just
It was just fun. Yeah.
we had
Like,
we
yeah,
did a
like
lot of
sometimes
fun.
we'd have like, I remember a Super Bowl, my mom actually, mom and her friends, like we had no staff because no one wanted to work. So I like, Mom, you want to work? So she'd come in and work. Like,
all her friends came and worked.
and so, and like her boyfriend was at the time was like drinking at the host station. So was mom and Dave.
They were doing two-step.
Shout out for
they were doing
Dave.
Two-step in the
Yeah, so this
lobby,
like
right?
now we probably get put in jail for that kind of
Yeah.
stuff. But these guys are like that's what we
That's
they
kind
were,
of that's a
you know,
culture.
and we just did that kind of
Yeah.
stuff. But it actually was an awesome. Yeah, like
Yeah.
Shane said, it was awesome. And I was there. Brother Shane was there for 4 or 5 years. I was there for 17 years.
Okay.
No kid.
Yeah, right.
Holy
And they
long time.
fired him.
mother! I know they did.
Thank
Thank God.
I got
Thank-
booted.
Thank
you
God.
know?
Thank
See
God.
ya.
Sometimes things
Yeah.
happen for good reasons.
Yeah.
So from the Rubes things, he went and through
To do the
that
Fossil.
he went to Fossil in
So
Des
let's
Moines.
hear, the
Yeah, so
Fossil.
let's
'cause that's
transition.
where
This is
things
cool.
really kind of.
That's actually kind of funny how that happened. Mom and I went to the mall, and I think I just took the leap and just quit Rubes, didn't I? I think I did it during the employee party or something on stage. It's a long story.
Yeah, dude, he actually did.
I think I signed something. I can't talk about it. But anyways, no, I'm just kidding. But yeah, I went in the mall and this Fossil store. I never knew Fossil. I had a watch,
Yep.
and they had clothing. They had this like retail space, right?
Yeah.
And this all vintage inspired clothing. I'm
Yeah.
like, what is this? And I was kind of
Yeah.
like that, kind of cool into that. And so I was trying on clothes. I'm like, this is a cool vibe. And I tried on their jeans. My ass looks so good in those jeans. Dude, remember I said that? I go, my ass looks so good in these jeans. You know, and it's the first time I ever had my good in some jeans.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what's this company about? And I started like Google and I was like looking it up. I go, if my ass can look good in these jeans, they got something going.
Yeah.
And so I literally looked at the company up because of that reason.
Yeah.
That is great.
And I wanted to get into visuals, you know, and I was tinkering out Rubes with graphic design, you know, whatever. And I didn't really like focus on that in college. I just learned the basics, you know, for the most part. You learn a little bit of the basics from everything. And so I knew I wanted to do something creative. And so I interviewed. I went and talked to somebody and they're like, well, listen, we have a assistant management position open. Everyone at corporate has to start at the ground and work their way up. And they're like, so if you really want a job at the corporate company, assistant manager at a retail store, let's go.
Let's go.
And you know, I was you know the head honcho at Rubes, you know, and
got this 4-year degree, and now he's like
fold
of clothes.
I knew, I'm like, I could do this.
Yeah.
I could.
You can quick.
I could
you could like.
I could do some like some stuff here. And I started as an assistant manager, and I remember the manager in front of me, who was the next in line for that store, she didn't like me. She really didn't like me. And my manager was on his way out. He's getting transferred. And so she took position, and we just did not get along. I like her to now, but it was retail for me. It was folding clothes, and it wasn't resonating with me, and I want to do something. And there was visual design, visual merchandising, right? And you have to merchandise the store and stuff. And I'm like, well, maybe this is my end. Maybe I can learn how to do this. Yeah. I was terrible at it, right?
Okay.
I didn't know the standard. I'm like, what am I doing? And my manager was like, dude, you are bad at this.
Yeah.
I'm like, this is my way in. I know this is my way in. So I basically learned what I could, mastered that, got really kind of good at that. And then they gave me the store. And I applied the same learnings of Rubes, and I built the best team, a culture that no one could argue with. I had live music playing on the weekends when you don't do that.
Live music.
Thanksgiving or Black Friday, I brought a band in.
This is at like a retail, like
this is
I know,
the mall.
Where,
you know what I mean?
I know.
I was like, let's have some fun. My employees loved it. We got some great systems in place.
Sales were good.
Blew it out of the water.
Yeah.
Comps, we were doing things that no one else was doing. It was amazing. And I got in trouble. It's better to ask for forgiveness sometimes.
Yeah.
And I did a lot of that with my DM. But, he's like, well, you're hitting your numbers. He's like, what are you doing? And I
what did you get in trouble for? The band?
The band. He's like, you had a band?
This is corporate, right?
Oh,
Corporate.
dude, I tried everything, whatever I could do to make sales.
So here's the funny thing is, like, through Rubes, family owned restaurant, we ran it.
Yeah.
You want to book a band?
Book a band.
Book a band. Goes corporate.
Yeah.
Through Fossil.
Yeah.
You don't just book a band.
Yeah.
Brother Shane didn't get that memo, so
Yeah.
he's just booking bands. Right? He's doing his own thing, running it, and they're like.
Well. But I also knew I had to disrupt, and I always use that word. I use it.
Disrupt.
I use that word to this day.
Yeah.
It's sketched into our DNA at my company now. But I'm like, I have to stand apart. I have to look different.
Yeah.
There's all these managers trying to get to corporate. Everyone wanted that position.
Yeah.
And so, like for the holiday party, we always have a holiday party. And so I had everyone, dress in your favorite holiday party. I'm sorry, holiday. And so I'm like dress up in a holiday costume.
Yeah.
For this meeting party thing on the store.
Yeah.
And so everyone came to the store to go over this meeting that we're going over all the holiday stuff, and it was after hours, and everyone's dressed up, and they went full scale outfits, which
that's awesome.
They had pride.
But just your team,
Just
not
my
the
team.
yeah.
And so I'm like, okay, let's go break into the Santa set.
What?
The Santa set. Let's go break into the Santa set.
Okay.
And so we all, like, this is after hours, right?
Yeah.
There's security throughout the mall. You have to be very strategic.
This
Yeah,
is Jordan
Santa
Jordan Creek.
This
Mall.
is Jordan Creek Mall.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
What year?
And this is when the Jordan Creek just started. Like
It was
this
a few years.
This was like in West Des Moines. The
This
new
is like early 2000s.
Not early 2000s. No, because I graduated college in 2000. So it had to be
2006,
2006,
2007.
All right, okay.
Yeah.
So we stuck down, we're like, dun, 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 like got down there, and all these people in costumes, and some were like, crazy. And so I was in the Santa set. My assistant managers were on the arm. And
Yeah.
we're like this. We're being all like,
Yeah.
and the whole team got in the trees and
Yeah.
and we were like snapping pictures, and we got chased off by security.
Yeah.
But we got in trouble for that. But
Got a good picture.
got a great picture, right? And we went back, had our meeting. Everyone took their costumes off. We did our meeting, and what I did with that picture, though, I made business or holiday cards. You know how you can go to Walgreens and make those holiday cards,
Yeah.
and I sent them to everyone in corporate from store 424. Merry Christmas.
Wow.
And it
Went crazy.
people were like, the corporate company was like, who is this guy? Overnight sensation.
Yeah.
I mean, I went to interview, and they were pinned up on the walls, like on their cubes and stuff. And I mailed them to everyone. And they're like, that is so smart. It's just disrupt, just
Yeah.
enough. So they moved me into another store.
That was in Omaha, right?
Now I went to Omaha.
Yep.
Now I'm going to Omaha. and I got to open my own
So
store.
you got the store.
I got
you
the store in Jordan
position.
Creek. Yeah, I did my thing there.
Did the
Yeah.
Christmas card,
Yeah.
and then that within a certain amount of time got you to Omaha.
I was there I ran that store for like 4 months.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and then they had a new store opening. They're like, well, if you went corporate, you got to show us you can do the same thing at a brand new store. So I had to go and hire all the staff. I had the best staff. I had all these like athletes and people that are just like hustlers, right?
Yeah.
And I built an amazing culture. We were blowing our numbers out of the water, still doing things the way I wanted to do them. And my district manager was like, do what you want to do. And, I was able to, I wanted to be in corporate within 2 years in that position I wanted, and I ended up getting it within a year.
Really?
Yeah. So I was very blessed.
Did you have the same DM from
the whole time?
The whole time?
Yeah, he and I became, Russell, we became really close. Have some good stories about him. But yeah, and when I opened my new store, the corporate team came and I got to meet them, and we opened it, and they got to meet my team, and I got in with them then. And before you know it, a position came open, and they asked me if I want to interview for it. I'm like, yeah.
So what was that job then?
That job was a visual merchandiser.
So this was so cool.
For Europe, but I was.
Oh, that's right. Your mom had mentioned that.
So you're virtual merchandising for Europe.
Yes.
But you only know how to speak English.
What does that even mean? What is
most people do?
Right. But you go to Europe though. Like
we're doing it for countries that know English. Most countries know English. Well, we're the ones that don't know anything else.
He is correct on that. Like,
good point. But you like that, and you did that for how many?
What did it mean again? Like, what does
visual merchandising? So we basically place the product, merchandise the product.
So it's like facing the store.
We gave the direction to the stores on floor set direction
Mm-hmm.
and window direction.
Okay.
And so I kind of followed. There's a full price team in the visual merchandising team. There's like always people above me, and I was at the bottom of the totem pole when I came on. And it was interesting. I interviewed the president. And she was like, you didn't screw with this. I mean, she was tough. She was brilliant, but she was scary.
Yeah.
And I remember interviewing with her, and she asked me a lot of questions, hard questions. And then she goes, what sign are you? And I go, sign. She's like, what?
Zodiac?
Yeah. And I go, Virgo. She goes, you're hired. She kind of joked about it. And she's like, I hire only Virgos. I'm like, I didn't understand that, but I guess apparently, we all have, there's most of these people I worked with were a lot more Virgos.
Really?
Yeah. Believe it or not, which is ironic. But
what's
hardworking, very detailed.
Okay. All right.
I don't know why, but she had a bunch of reasons. But she just joked and she's like, "You're hired" after that question. But so once again, I'm
write that down.
I'm going through
Virgo.
Yeah, I started there, and I had to work up at the totem pole there and figure out how to do that.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, so now we do corporate at Fossil.
Yeah.
What gets you interested in starting your, becoming an entrepreneur?
Well,
how do we get there?
Well, interesting enough. So when I was at Fossil, being at the bottom of the totem pole, it was kind of hard for me to I didn't really fit in with my team. I don't know what it was, but I had friends on my team, but I wasn't really as culture, like I wasn't fashion savvy, not really.
Okay.
I don't know pop culture.
Yeah.
I don't, stay up on the times as far as that stuff goes. So I didn't know how to speak the language. And so, which was fine. We all got along great, but I did better when I'm kind of in my own little place. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And so they put me on some other teams on my own because no one else wanted it. And I'm like, here's my opportunity to do my thing
to do your
once
thing,
again.
Yeah.
And so we did. We started doing some things because no one was watching. And this one, I started doing outlets. From Europe, you had to go to do outlet concepts, and I was doing work with them. I was, making some waves a little bit, some good waves. And so, anyways, I did a bunch of documents and had them produced, and weren't asked to do all this stuff. And the president came across somebody's desk and said, "What's this?" And it was like a merchandising guide for holiday and blah blah blah. And I just did it on my own. And she's like, "Who did this? This is brilliant." And she came over to my department. And she came to your department,
you're a big deal.
You don't want to. Hopefully she's happy.
It's a good thing.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, you didn't want to be bad or good. She came over and she was like to my boss, like, "Who did this?" And she's like, "It must have been Shane." And she's like, "This is the best thing." Blah, blah. I mean, she was so like, She goes, young man, gave me nothing but praise. And everyone looked at me like, what'd you do? You know? And so I got in with her, making some moves that way. But fast forward, several years later, I moved up and I became the head guy for the clothing stores, and then kept moving around. And then I got promoted to creative production manager for a concept. And that basically meant I made displays. My boss, who was the creative, he would draw everything out, and I would have what he drew. I would produce that, get it made.
Yeah.
Figure out who to use to do that, vendors.
Yeah.
And so I was kind of like his protege, you know? And so I was kind of like in his shadow for a long time. Yeah. And so I didn't get to flex my muscles. Well, they moved him to a different department, different brand concept altogether. And if you know anything about Fossil, they have like lots of brands. They have Burberry, Diesel, Armani, blah, 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 all these brands underneath their belt that they make watches for. And so I was working for this luxury brand concept, and he moved on. And now it's they hand me time to shine. And I'm like, oh shit, like, what am I gonna do? And so, he drew everything, I'm like, I can't draw. Yeah. And I'm like, well, how am I gonna do this, right? Yeah. So I'm like, okay, let's blow. And no one was watching. No one cared about this concept. Like literally, in our corporate office, we had mock stores, and we had this concept that I worked for, a store, as a built-out store in the office. No, wait. Are we in Texas? Yeah, we're still in Texas. So it's just a mock store. Yeah, it's a big corporate office, and then you have these mock stores, and you set up in these stores.
Just kind of figure out if it looks okay.
So at this point, he had moved from Omaha. Now he's down in Dallas, Texas.
Yeah.
So we're in Texas now.
Sorry.
And what, 2010?
I don't remember. Yeah, I have terrible dates.
So these basically this big Fossil.
Yeah, huge corporate
this corporate office had these. You walk in it, it's an office, but you walk through, because Mom and I went there, and you walk in and you feel like you're in a retail
store.
Like there's these, you walk in and there's like cubes, right? Uh-huh. And then you turn around and all of a sudden it looks like you're in a mall. So they cool. do all this stuff in real time, so that right,
you can test it, shoot pictures, but yes, sorry, back up. I did get promoted to come to corporate office, and then that's where I became the visual merchandiser for outlets in Europe and all that, and then I got moved up through corporate there.
Okay.
So then I got this concept that my boss had then moved off of, but in this area was my store, another store concept, and like an employee store. So there was like everyone would do their work and showcase
it. Yeah.
Well, no one was paying attention to my concept. It was like we had 5 or 6 stores. It was a watch concept. We just sold watches of all luxury brands and all this. And then there's Fossil, and then there was all these other ones. And I had a pretty decent budget because they were trying to get this luxury brand off the ground. And I'm like, and the stuff that we did was cool, but I'm like, we could do better than that. So anyways, I'm like, no one's watching. They took everyone, all the executives got moved off this brand. Like it went down to a ghost crew, right? They went from full focus on this concept to no focus. They bought Skagen, a brand. They started a Skagen brand from Denmark. They put that into the corporate office, and that's where all the executives went. And this is like 20 people to focus on there to bring that brand to life.
Yeah.
And they left this. There's like 5 of us running this. Anyways, long story long, I'm like, okay. And I had an assistant. I go, let's blow this out of the water. Yeah. Let's go big. Yeah. Let's go big or go home.
Yeah.
And no one's watching, so let's do it the way we want to do it.
Yeah.
And so we learned a 3D program that no one at that time, the store design team, would teach us a little bit of the tricks of how to use this program that no one else was using. Yeah. They were doing this. And so we started designing our windows in this 3D program so we could sell the idea before even going to the store. And so you can make shit look great in a 3D and they'll buy it, you know? So like literally we started playing in there and I worked with vendors. Well, my business partner now was my vendor. She worked for a production house and she made my stuff that I designed. Yeah. We became friends. She's crazy funny. If she's ever in town, she is a hoot. I mean, she's wild. And, the best businesswoman I've ever met and worked with. But anyways, between us, we'd made some cool stuff. And so we would put it up in these windows, right? Because we had to take pictures. Yeah. Turning heads like swivels, like disruption to a core. And sometimes you just got to do it to prove it, you know,
Yeah.
and that's the key.
Yeah,
Don't ask to do it, just do it.
Just do it.
And so that's exactly what we did. We put this stuff up in the window, and people were like, "Who's doing this?" And it went like wildfire.
That's awesome.
The VPs were talking about it. My coworkers were like, "What's your budget?" And like they were, you know, like, "What's going on?"
They're all
And so
mad at him.
I had people walking by. The CEO got wind of the stuff we were doing. We kept doing it.
Of
We did,
Fossil, the CEO of Fossil.
yeah. Oh, we turned a lot of heads, and so you know they probably wanted to see if we could do it on a regular, you know, often. Every floor set we do some kick-ass stuff, and we just tried to see if we could do bigger than better than last time. And we made it a team effort. That's the thing. Like we brought the designers in, the graphic designers. We have these like design huddles. You know, we really made it a team effort, and it was so much fun watching people be like, you know. And so what happened with that is they yanked me off that brand and then put me on Michael Kors in New York and moved me to Fossil and moved me up that way and got moved around a lot. And I was working. I was working like
working
70 hours plus
a week.
Oh
my
So
gosh.
let's transition.
Salary too?
Salary was not great.
So we basically, so he's just, and I'll interject because, you know, there's people out there, there's entrepreneurs, there's people out there that I think they just want to do the right thing, right? There's people out there want to do the right thing. It doesn't matter what they get paid, right?
Yeah.
It's just in your DNA. Your DNA is to say, I'm going to do this the best I can do it, no matter what I'm getting paid, because it's the right thing to do. No matter who's writing the check.
Personal
like
pride.
It's a personal thing, right? It's a
Yeah.
personal pride thing. And I think a lot of people have lost that, to be honest, where they're so entitled. They think they need this. They think they need that from the company. You know, I mean, they're constantly, you know, me. But this generation, if you will, Brother Shane was like, no, I'm going to do this. So he worked so many hours, and this is the best part of the story. He worked so many hours of getting this because he's working on him and building him. Yes, he was building this phenomenal product and empire for this company.
Yeah.
But in the silence of everything, what he was really doing is preparing himself for a future company that he didn't know existed.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and that's what I love about this story, because because everyone else was going home partying, whatever, and Brother Shane was still 2:00 in the morning, still trying to figure out how to do this and outwork the competition, if you will, and basically got paid by this company to do this, right? And now he learned these trades, learned all this tri-fail and justice. Now he goes to a point where, and I love this part because I don't know if Brother Shane will say something about this, but it was to the point where you get to the point where you get tired. You know, you get to a point where it's like, okay, I'm at the point where as a entrepreneur, you're sitting there and go, man, this has been a blessing.
Well, he's not an entrepreneur yet.
Right. But
Yeah,
I'm blessed to have this opportunity, but it's time for me
to go
get
Spread
my own.
my wings.
Get my own, baby. Right?
Well, that never happened to you. They just fired you.
Happened to me. Hey, exactly. Mine was, hey, we
It doesn't matter the path. It doesn't matter the path.
That's how we end, right? No, mine was, I need to see you at 9:00.
Yeah.
So my wings were like, oh, because and then they fired me. But Brother Shane had it. So can you tell that story?
Yeah.
This is fantastic.
Well, there's a couple of cool things to talk about. But the year that we started my company, 2 parts.
This is the one. This is Moax
Visual.
Okay.
At the beginning of that year, I don't know if you're into manifesting and energy.
Oh, 100%
so,
into manifesting.
At the beginning of that year, I started a journal. I knew I had to change my life. I could not keep on this path. This was not going to go well. I was going to be sick, have a heart attack. Something was going to go really bad if I kept working like this. Yeah. And so I started like journaling about my company, and I was like visualizing this company. I'm like, I kept writing, I will have a company by, this date and time. I'll make this much money. I am already thankful for it. And I just wrote it night after night after night for a while. And fast forward 4 or 5 months, the gal that was producing my stuff in my window, like my displays for me, her name is Molly. She came to me and she goes, I have an idea. You're going to think I'm crazy. And I'm like, what? She's like, let's start our own company. And I'm like, you're shitting me. And she didn't know if I would do it. I go, she's like, I'm serious. I go, she goes, I think I have $2 million in business. I think a book of business that will leave the production house that I work for now. And I think they would follow us and do our own thing. And she goes, what do you think? I go, where do we sign?
Yeah.
And she goes, she's like, really? And I go, I'm scared not to. She goes, you're not scared. I go, I'm scared not to. I go, let's go,
Yeah.
And I was like, this is one of those, there's opportunities in life where you can let fear get in the way and it'll just slow you down from achieving what you want, or you just flow with it.
Mm-hmm.
And this was one of those moments where I had been broken down. I was so tired that there was no other way to go.
Yeah.
So I said, let's do this. We had no idea how this was going to fly.
Yeah.
And so I walked into my boss's office, who I became really close with. And I go, I got good news and some bad news. And he goes, what's the bad news? I go, I'm quitting my job. He goes, well, what's the good news? I go, I think I can still work with you because I'm now on the other side.
Yeah.
He's like, what the hell?
Isn't that great?
I became the vendor that actually was on the other side.
Yeah.
And so they were our client. Fossil was our client.
Wow.
Turned out to be one of our clients, which was great. But yeah, we took a leap. We hired one gal from Fossil.
So you started with your partner?
Yeah, my business partner.
Your business partner?
Yeah, and
then
another
you
guy.
hired one
gal
from Fossil.
Yeah,
so
we took a gal.
You took 3 employees when you left.
Yeah, we left. And Fossil, the people there supported us and, helped us. But all of the clients came along. And so that was 3 of us. And, I'm not going to say it was all bells and whistles.
Yeah.
When you start from the ground up, it's like you got to do the whole thing over. But the thing was, we're just repeating
what you had
the
been
successes
doing,
and learning from the mistakes. And
what year is this?
7 years ago. 7 years ago.
So like 2014?
Yeah,
14,
yeah.
Okay.
About that
All
time.
right, yeah.
So we started, and now we have 19 employees. And
Wow.
we're just hit $10 million.
So 21 total, you and your partner,
Yeah.
and then 19 employees.
I believe that's the number now.
And what did you say after that?
And we're at 10 million in sales.
Annually?
Yeah.
Isn't that wild?
Oh my gosh.
Maybe I shouldn't be saying that, but yeah.
We talk numbers every now and again. It's all good, yeah.
No, but
get back to us. We'll, we got Tyler bleep.
Well, with the
Yeah,
Dallas
bleep it.
Cowboys, I mean, they're probably
Dude.
$1 million client. If
they're a fun
close.
client. They're fun, powerful. The team there, all the women that we work with, they know the game better than any man. I tell you what. And they're a fantastic client. I met that client on a flight home from Dallas to Iowa, and that's how I met them. That's how I got them.
Awesome.
She was sitting next to you, right?
Yeah, the
and
gal.
flying back to Dallas, and you're like, hey, what do you do?
She
What
was
do I
from
do?
Iowa. Yeah, we just started talking.
How wild, right?
Okay,
The
here,
connections, man.
I got a
It's like
question for
it's
you.
network,
So I
baby.
think
It's
like
awesome.
in the entrepreneur game, everybody has like a moment where they're like, I don't know if this is for me. And then they have like another moment. It's like, I can't imagine doing anything else.
Right.
What are those 2 moments for you?
Oh man, dude, there's so many moments like that. It's I would say, well, the Cowboys was a huge accomplishment.
Yeah, I can. Yeah,
because it was a relationship building. I realized I had a knack for building relationships because I did not sell her our company until after like 3 or 4 months after we became connected. We stayed in touch and we formed a relationship, and it was about 3 or 4 months into it before I said, hey, what's the chances I can get a meeting?
Yeah.
And I think that really resonated with her, and that was a really cool moment because I'm like, oh, I can do this relationship thing too. But there's been some very intense projects and things that we did. One moment was when working for Valentino.
This is the thing that you were like, I don't know, this is a good
This
one.
was like a good accomplishment.
Okay.
And both. Like, oh shit. And then, oh shit. Okay.
We got it figured out.
We got this. No, it was Valentino, which is a luxury brand.
Yeah.
Okay. Hired us to do a red carpet in LA. They were launching a new line, and they were going to have this pop-up shop, big red carpet, food, very bougie celebrity type situation, right? And so they hired us to make this 8-foot basketball, this Valentino basketball that sits on this platform. It had to be a real looking basketball. And their line was inspired by like vintage athletics.
Okay.
So to see it, you would understand it, but there was a lot of like nods to athletics in this decor or in this clothing. So anyways, we had one night to set up and to get everything set. And the next day they were bringing all the, the red carpets and all the lighting and all that. And so my team's there, and the main guy from the creative director from overseas flew in for this, and he's the head honcho.
Oh, Valentino?
Valentino.
Okay.
You have to make him happy.
Yeah.
And so I was put on his patrol, right?
Yeah.
Like I had to be the front man.
Yeah, for him.
In front of him and kind of maneuver him around in case
Yeah.
things were not going well or whatever. And so my team did great. We were getting everything set up. The ball came in, the big crane brought it in, or a big truck, and it was huge undertaking. Well, so that was like, okay, and he was happy. The executives were there. They were like looking at that night before, and I'm like, we're doing it, man. We have Valentino.
Yeah.
And so next day they had a heat wave, hottest day in LA history. this is that oh shit. I'm like, what am I really doing?
Yeah.
And I'm so pumped, man. I'm feeling good. I nailed it the night before, right? This party's gonna go off with a hitch. Yeah. And so I'm driving to the space, and I get a phone call from my business partner, and I'm in the lift going there, and she was like very emotional, very upset, and she's basically like saying, "We're done. We're over." And I'm like, "What?" And she's like, we're done. And then she's like, the ball is melting.
Oh my.
The ball has melted.
The ball is melted.
Yeah.
What was it made of that it was melting?
Oh, dude. So the company that we worked with, so we don't have production houses. We work with production houses throughout the country, and they lower their prices, and we bring them business, and we make off, mark it up.
It's kind of like wholesale kind of thing.
Yeah. So it's really a great concept. But anyways, they failed to read the print where it said this is an outdoor event. And so the glue that they used it's like a real basketball skin. Like it's exactly what you would expect on a basketball. The glue that they used was not heat resistant, and it sagged like droopy, drippy, saggy skin.
How high was it?
103 that day.
103. So we're
in LA under the beating sun.
So this ball, this 8 foot,
8 foot
ball.
I have a picture. Yeah.
What would something like an 8 foot
huge
ball cost?
If
you can't say.
No, it's under 100,000.
Under 100,000.
So above 50.
Above 50, but under 100.
Is what they spent
for a basketball
for that
they had to bring in on a crane.
Well, on a big truck,
Major truck. Why did your person think that you guys were done? It's not like you can control the weather.
Well, I think that's hilarious.
It was
because
supposed to be able to
it wasn't supposed to be.
Yeah, it was our product
that you gave to them.
Yeah, and there's only one other place, Japan, was the other company or country that found a way to do it. Like no one else. We were competing with a company there, and they did it, and we did it, and they were trying to do it.
But they went with you guys.
They just couldn't figure out how to do it. So it was a big thing that we figured out how to make this 8 foot ball. And so it just melted. I mean, and so she's being yelled at by
everyone
who's already there.
Yeah.
And I'm
driving. You're driving with Valentino.
So you see where the stress is coming. I'm like, what the hell am I doing here? Yeah. So I'm pulling up while she's still telling me what's going on. And she's like, what are you going to do? I'm like, what am I going to do?
It's a fake.
And I see them all around the ball looking, and they're like turning around because, they're looking for me.
Yeah.
So I walk up, but I'm thinking, okay, how am I going to do this? I go, I have to look as confident and as in charge as possible.
Yeah.
I have to show complete strength.
Yeah.
And so I walked up to it and I looked at it, terrified, but I looked at it with confidence. I go, this isn't bad. I mean, it was bad. I'm like, and the main people are right. They're like, it's not bad. I go, no, this is just the glue. I thought it was like the mold, the fiberglass. And I go, this is just the glue. Oh, man, okay, yeah, I can have this fixed in a few hours. I thought you guys really scared me for a minute. This isn't a big deal. And they're like, oh, so it can be fixed in a few hours for the red carpet that's about to happen?
The event that's about to happen.
It's still 103 degrees, by the way.
Yeah.
And so...
the temperature has not changed.
No solution yet. And so they're like, oh, okay, well, we're going to go have brunch. We'll come out.
We'll see.
I'm like, yeah, go have brunch.
Good luck
Go
with
have
that.
brunch. That's a good idea. And I'm like, go. Take time.
Get out of here. Take
Get out of
time.
here.
Yeah.
The moment they walked around the corner, I dropped to my knees and go, oh my God. Oh my God. Seriously, I did. And so I'm like, okay. Trying to figure out what to do. And I just went into fix mode. And that's, and I was able to get a installer guy out there that we knew who brought his staple gun. We got glue. I went down to the hardware store and got paint for the space that we'd screwed up from the glue and
dripping. Yeah.
And I was in a button up. I was
about to ask that. Are you in suit?
I'm dressed up.
Yeah, suit and tie, ready to go.
That went away. I mean, I was covered in glue and everything
yeah.
else, sweat. We brought tarps and we put a tent over it so it wouldn't melt anymore.
Yeah.
We were running.
Yeah.
And we were putting this thing back together as fast as possible. And it was still, and the guy was like, he told me before he left, he goes, it has to be perfect. And so he left. He came back. And I swear, when he came back, I'm on my hands and knees in my socks. The red carpet is being rolled out in front of me. I'm painting this son of a gun, the base. The ball is like staying intact. It's like not falling apart. And the servers are coming. The lights are going up. I'm still painting. Excuse me. And he's looking over at me like, look at me like, Anyways, it didn't fall apart. Party was a major success. He does not know how it happened. He's like, I don't know how you did it, but good job.
Worked out.
Good job on the fix. And I never sweated so much.
Are we allowed to use those pictures in this?
Yeah. Not the saggy pictures, but the completion.
You're allowed to use it. Okay. Yeah.
Not the saggy picture.
No. Yeah.
Well,
but that was a really cool moment because, it was cool that we had that client, and then it's cool that it's a problem solving that means more to the client.
Yes. Oh,
more
way
to the client.
more. Yeah.
How you fix the problem is way more important than anything.
Yeah, stuff happens, right? So
if you had if it was perfect every time, it doesn't go as far as if you have a mistake and you go find a way to fix it.
Yeah.
So now you have, you have these 19, whatever staff, and now your role is now. I mean,
what's your day to day?
What is? I mean, you and Molly kind of run the show. I mean, you have the 19 people. I'm assuming they're all over the United States.
We have in California. We have 3 or 4 people in California. We have people in Denver, Colorado. Everyone else is in Dallas. Our day to day, every day is different. Honestly, I have a whole design team now. Before it was just me and maybe another gal. Now I have a whole design team. I have a creative director. He was the creative director at Victoria's Secret, did a whole bunch of stuff. Brilliant, genius. Everyone on my team's brilliant at what they do. Just brilliant. And so I got out of the way. I saw the talent and I realized that my role is more of a coach, making sure they have the tools that they need. Working, and problem solving with them and moving things around to get things done. And, and the coach pretty much, Molly and I are both taking more of that coach role and letting the team run the show. So
that's cool. That's
awesome.
Awesome.
We've had a lot of our team is amazing. We have a lot of fun. That's the number one thing. I don't care about, it's the culture for me. I mean, I went to corporate. I don't want corporate. So it's all about the journey. It's about the relationships. It's about the fun.
For sure. Yeah.
And honestly, it's not even about the money. And people ask me like, do you have a book that you want to promote? Or, I'm like, I don't read.
Well, you don't.
I don't read a book. What I do is, no, I don't. And I'll tell you, I go, if you do what you love, it'll come. It'll come naturally.
Yeah.
It'll literally come naturally.
Yeah.
Do what you love. Stick to your core, values, and just, the Twilight series I heard was a great book. I don't know, but
I don't read those kind of books either.
No, but I don't have a book.
Yeah.
The kind of books I read have nothing to do with business. But
that's amazing, man.
So that's the journey.
Your mom must be really special to raise 3 entrepreneurs. I mean, you took long enough, but
I was gonna.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's in our DNA to kind of do that kind of a thing. So
that's awesome. Because your guys' dad, he had his own construction or roofing. Was it roofing?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Construction. So we're all kind of
And mom
raised
was
in that.
beautician, had her own business as beautician, like hairdresser.
Yeah.
And we had one rental property, but dad and mom were both.
Well, just like Dad. I mean, Dad, how he like bought that first house, and you already probably know the story, but he like wrote everything down that he did and timed it out and the costs and used that as a practice round and and learned from that. And then it's just his story is amazing too. So
It's
about disruption.
It's amazing.
The thing about it is, what I have found is that people have lost the fire to be unique
and different
and genuine.
Yeah.
And just genuine.
Yeah.
Literally. You can literally make so much money by just being genuine and creative and think different.
Yeah.
No one else does it. No one else is doing it.
Money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's everywhere.
Yeah, you were only on your second project. That wasn't your first house that I met you on, right? That was this number 2.
Yeah, number 2 or 3. Yep.
I've told this story a couple times on this podcast, but bought my first 2 houses with Jason. By the time I got to my third one, it's 25, so I bought my first rental at 23. Jason's like, dude, I can't help you. You don't make the income like I do conventional lending. You need to go meet my brother. He's starting to do some other stuff. So drove up, because I was living in Ames, drove up to Des Moines to meet him, came to one of his projects, met him and Kurt. Ended up going really well. So we went out and got food afterwards. And by the end of us getting food, like that, the first time I ever met him, I was like, we're going to do a deal together. And I'm 25 years old. And he's like, okay.
Completely blew it off. I'm like, when you were talking, we're like, cash, you know what cash flow is, Ethan? Because he's so green, but he's so excited.
I love that.
And I'm like, dude, this guy's he's crazy. He's gonna make it.
Did you go to college?
Yeah, but I dropped out twice. Ended up going back for a third time to get my business degree, but I'd already owned rentals at the time. I already had a kid, already owned rentals, so got my 2-year, and by that time I had like 3 units. Then I was at like 5, and I was like, the only thing that really helped was like micro and macroeconomics. And I was like, I took biology as a business. I was like, I'm never going to college. Like I hate this.
Higher education.
This is just ridiculous. And then the first deal he helped me with was I bought an apartment building before he did. I met this guy in the NFL. We ended up teaming up. He ended up going through a divorce and kind of put me in a bad situation. I came to Dustin. I was like, bro, help me. And I let him list it. I demoed the whole thing and I listed it. And then from that point on, I think like almost every deal I ever did, I called him and got like his foresight. And then there was one deal, the Cameron School Road deal. I called him. I was like, dude, this is a home run. You need to do this deal with me. And he was like, nah, or he just didn't know enough about Ames.
It's 45 Ames. We're, it is,
it is
35.
the only $1 million neighborhood in Ames. And I'm like, bro, I'm telling you, this is this is a steal. He's like, I just don't think this one's for us. Bought it. 3 days later, one of the neighbors drove over and was like, I'll give you $50 grand more than you paid for it.
That's amazing.
Sold it and then hired my because I have a real estate company and a construction company. Hired my construction company to do the thing. So then I made $50K on top, plus like all the margin between the labor and the team. So from that point, we've done pretty much every deal
awesome.
together. Yeah. So
then he gets this idea that we should buy a 57-plex. So he's like, hey, I got this 57-plex in Boone, and I'm a real estate agent.
And he didn't make the meeting.
Just so you know, we're full commission. My wife and I are full commission. We've been, we take care of these 3 kids. And Ethan godparents for my kids. I'm like, Ethan, so Ethan thinks he needs to buy this $2.4 million whatever, this 57-plex, which, Ethan says he needs to buy everything, which we've had this conversation. And my goal in his life is to make sure he doesn't end up in jail or bankrupt, right? That's how my role is. So he has this another idea. I'm like, man, dude, I can't get up there in time. Long story short, we end up buying this 57 unit, $2.4 million. And He did not use me as the buyer's agent. He went right to the listing agent who got.
It wasn't listed though. It's off. It was
It's
off
off
market. It was
market.
off
I give you
market.
that. I give you that.
Okay.
But if I would have went to this meeting,
If he would have went to the meeting, he would have made, what is it, 40 or 50?
50 grand.
Yeah.
Dude.
Yeah. I'm like, oh, Ethan. You know,
You gotta
because I
show
know
up.
I told Ethan, like, this is like months went by. I'm like, you know what I was thinking about? I was like, that meeting that you said, hey, bro, you might want to come to this meeting, literally cost me 45 grand. He's like, yep.
Should have listened to me.
You
9
know what I
times
mean?
out of
Like-
10, I know what I'm talking about.
But it just goes back to like,
That's amazing.
you
man.
just never know when you're having a good day. You never know when you're having a great day. And, you know, and we've had good days and we've had bad days. And
Oh,
you just
yeah.
gotta, as an entrepreneur, you know, I mean, I've done a lot of appointments with them. I've shown tons of houses. We've, you know, endlessly
Endless
trying,
hours,
helping
yeah.
people, doing all, and it doesn't pay. Zero, goose egg, no money. A lot of time away from your family, zilch. But
Right.
that's what we sign up for.
Yeah.
But you still got to go
Yeah.
when you're,
Yeah.
because here's an opportunity like Amanda, Ethan here. And it was a good a learning lesson again for me to be like, dude, you just got to have faith. You just got to keep working, you know, and you just got to keep, you know,
Absolutely.
helping
We have
people.
such a good relationship now. And I think, to be fair, I think you had a meeting with your CPA. I think that
I
was
did.
Like, it was an important meeting. I mean,
Huge
it wasn't,
meeting.
Wasn't a $45,000 meeting. But
It was, and here's the thing. It was a meeting with with John,
Yeah.
okay, John's CPA, to organize all of our properties and all of our finance and all of our accounting, which include his properties because we own properties together. So I was doing our properties,
As well.
learning, and I couldn't miss this meeting because it was a long story.
Yeah.
And I really had it, and then it fell.
Kurt came though.
That's good.
Kurt made it to that
I'm
one.
glad he came.
Yeah.
That's
Anyways.
awesome.
We like to have fun,
Yeah.
but in life you just kind of sometimes you.
But it's awesome now because we met and you had 2 or 3 units. I think I had 4. I think I had 2 single families and a duplex. And now we both got over 70, 75 or something like that. Yeah,
Well, we have the
amazing.
57, and then we have 20. I think we
you
have
guys
20,
got
20
and then we
some,
got-
23, 24.
Then we got another 30 or something.
Yeah,
That's
so
amazing.
just a bunch of guys that are just
Do you have any rental properties
I
or
don't.
any interest in real estate
I've
at
been,
all?
we've
or-
been talking a little bit about it. You throw my
Yeah,
money,
we're
throw
actually-
my money at something.
Well, the first, she was your first original lender, right?
Here's
Your
the cool
mom.
thing. Yeah, Mama D here. She gave us all of our all of our
Your
money.
first initial
Yeah.
investment, yeah.
Yeah, she was the reason why we pulled. Actually, it was a $70,000 house, and we basically said, I was like, Mom, I don't know, the first, your first investment property, you don't know
Yeah.
what you should do.
Yeah.
And she finally said, we were like, I don't know, and then she was getting kind of like, my mom was like, I don't know if we should do this because she was forking over the cash,
Yeah.
and I was like, I don't know if we should do this. I don't think it's the right place. Kurt was involved. Kurt's like, I think this might be a good one to do. So
And
then
he'd
I'm-
already told you no on some other deals.
oh yeah,
And this
like
was the
4 or
first
5
one.
first
that
time
he
you
had
ever said to do it, and I'm like, but it's still Mom's money, and I don't know what I'm doing, and so then I finally said, Mom, I don't know if this is gonna work, and she's like, well, what are you gonna do? And I think we were actually pretty emotional about it because we wanted it to work.
Mhm.
And she was actually, I think, pretty teary-eyed about it. And then she's like, if you're going to do it and you're going to go down, I'm going down with you. She's like,
That's amazing.
let's do it.
That's amazing.
And I'm like, all right, here we go. Send me your checkbook because I need your money. So we basically were able to, the bank basically took care of us and financed the house. And then we used her money
to rehab
to
it.
do the remodel.
Mhm.
And then we turned around and made $45,000 or whatever.
That's awesome.
But, looking back, but I do know this guy has money.
Oh.
So Ethan, I've been talking to him like,
come check out some of our
let's
projects.
go. Other Shane and I, we've been talking about getting that.
I'm reading the Richest Man of Babylon right now. Have you read that book?
Yes.
We
It's
shall
been-
make thy
but-
gold multiply.
But it's been probably 10
It's a
years
good. I'm reading. It's
since I've-
part of the 75 Dads. The one I'm reading right now. I've been reading it to Thaddeus as well. That's the name of my son.
Oh, sweet.
But we're kind of running short on time. If we could get one kind of like piece of advice for somebody who's like maybe working corporate or a normal job that is thinking about starting their own thing, or maybe like a mind shift set that you had, what would that be to them? What could you say to them?
My thing is be authentic. Be authentic, work hard, work smart, and don't be afraid to take chances.
Don't be afraid to take chances.
Yep.
For sure. Well, I appreciate your time
Boom.
so
Yeah.
much. It was great finally meeting you.
It was great meeting you
Seriously,
too.
thank
It
you
was a
so
good time.
much. And that's it for today, guys. We'll see you on our next episode. Thank you so much.